Tonight, finalizing details of a vaccine passport. Doug Ford's cabinet meeting again tonight to discuss vaccine certificates after an initial plan was rejected last night. Plus,
organizers, participants, and spectators should take this very seriously.
2 more COVID-19 outbreaks have been linked to basketball tournaments held in an Oshawa facility, with organizers having difficulty with contact tracing. And
they're just hiding themselves, that's it, because they don't know what to do. They cannot trust anybody.
As the Taliban declared victory this morning, Canada says more than 1,200 Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and their family members remain in Afghanistan. We speak to a Toronto man desperate to get his loved ones out. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. As we've been reporting, the Ontario government is planning on releasing details for a vaccine passport this week. But right now, the Ford government is still finalizing what that will look like. The last-minute decision-making led to a scheduled COVID-19 update by the province's top doctor to be scrapped earlier today. Our Lorenda Redicop has the details from Queen's Park.
Sources confirmed to CBC News that Cabinet has had 2 separate scheduled meetings, both talking about these so-called vaccine passports. So that means it's taken a while to work this out. And this is after there was already a Cabinet meeting last night. We're told that changes were requested to a proposal that came to them. And so that's why they met again this afternoon with some of those changes in the proposal this afternoon. With all of this happening, the scheduled briefing by the Chief Medical Officer for 3 p.m. that was canceled. And in a statement, it said that it came at his request. And that statement came from the spokesperson for the Minister of Health. It was just one sentence, and it said that the cancellation was in light of the government's ongoing work on a proof of vaccination certificate. And interestingly, that's the first time we've actually heard officially from the government saying that, yes, it is working on this. Previously, it was just from sources. We heard from the opposition leader, Andrea Horwath, today. She's frustrated that it's taken the government so long.
But here we go again. Instead of being prepared, they've dragged their feet, and now they're behind again. And apparently they're in pitched political discussions about the vaccine passports. So they're letting politics rule the day once again instead of public health. It's shameful.
The last time the media heard directly from Premier Doug Ford was more than a month ago. That's the last time that he took questions, and he was scheduled to appear tonight at a party fundraiser. With that cabinet meeting, we're not sure if that did go ahead, but it was listed late this afternoon on the party's website, and the tickets for that event, $1,650. Lorenda Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
The Ontario government is extending the province's sick leave program until the end of this year. Now, it says the spread of the Delta variant is behind that decision. The temporary sick leave program was expected to end on September 25th. Employees are eligible to access 3 days of emergency leave if they contract COVID-19 or are self-isolating. The opposition wants the program to cover 10 days of absence. 7 more cases of COVID-19 have been linked to basketball tournaments at a facility in Oshawa. Durham health officials are asking anyone who attended the Canadian Youth Basketball League tournament and the last one standing basketball tournament this month to get tested for the virus, saying organizers are having a hard time with contact tracing. Now, this comes after officials announced last week that 20 COVID cases were connected to another tournament at the same venue. Ardell Manukduk reports.
7 people from 2 basketball tournaments held here at the Playground Global in Oshawa have tested positive for COVID-19. Public health investigated and found none of the following requirements were in place.
So you require screening at the door, you require contact information, there are indoor gathering limits, you require masking, and there needs to be a workplace safety plan in place.
The facility, which rents their space for tournaments, says it's the Basketball League's responsibility to enforce those measures. In a statement, the Playground Global adds, "We are actively working with public health and our tenants to connect with those in attendance through contact tracing." CBC News contacted the two leagues. One refused to comment and the other did not respond. The cases from the tournaments were confirmed in multiple public health units: Durham, Peel, Toronto, and Simcoe Muskoka. Durham's chief medical officer of health says events like these have a high risk of becoming super spreader events.
Organizers, participants, and spectators should take this very seriously. And yes, it is of concern as we go into the fall. I assume that teams not only play here in Durham region, but other venues where tournaments are occurring.
Durham says they're having trouble with contact tracing because so many people took part. In York region, it's the same story. Last week, a COVID-19 outbreak was declared at a basketball tournament in Markham, with health officials unable to contact trace all the attendees.
What we found lately is that a lot of times these hosts are not keeping the contacts of who is in attendance, and so that's making it challenging from a case contact perspective to follow up with any individuals that might have been exposed.
The rise in cases and the threat of super spreader events has prompted public health units to consider changes to indoor capacity limits.
Recognizing at the same time that these individuals and businesses have been under constraint for a long period of time, and so we have to balance the need for economic rebound.
All upcoming tournaments at the Oshawa facility have been suspended until further notice. Dale Manuktuk, CBC News, Toronto.
The United States is urging its citizens to reconsider traveling to Canada. Both the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the State Department cite a high level of COVID-19 as the reason. Now, one Canadian expert says he is highly skeptical of the decision.
America, take a long look in the mirror, will you? This is ridiculous. I mean, yes, it's fair to acknowledge that we do have rising cases in Canada, but this pales in comparison to what's happening in the United States right now. It doesn't mean we should ignore what's happening in our own backyard. We obviously have to take care to control the virus here at home. But I mean, I just think it's insane to issue a travel warning to Canada where the risk is so much lower versus what's happening in the United States.
Canada is now on level 3 of the U.S. travel advisory system. And though there is no indication it will happen, level 4 would come with a recommendation that U.S. citizens not travel to Canada at all. The City of Toronto is expanding its targeted COVID-19 vaccine strategy with plans to now operate up to 200 mobile clinics each week. Now, they'll be set up in high-traffic areas such as workplaces, schools, and TTC stations. As Jessica Ng reports, it's all in an effort to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Omar Amir and his brother are getting their first doses today at Victoria Park subway station. They just got back from Pakistan, and Omar says this was their first opportunity to get vaccinated.
It was worthwhile. I live right here, so I don't have to go far.
It's part of the strategic shift in the city's vaccine plan. Toronto Public Health is moving resources from mass vaccination clinics to hyper-local spots.
It's really just an evolution that I think was bound to happen.
Moving forward, there will only be 5 city-run clinics, but up to 200 mobile vaccine clinics and high-traffic spaces like schools, grocery stores, and TTC stations. So far, the method is working. 635 people got vaccinated at 2 TTC stops over a few days last week.
Roughly half the vaccinations administered at our clinics and TTC stations last week were first doses, which means there's a need out there for these types of clinics.
You can visit Victoria Park Station today through Thursday to get your first or second dose. With school starting in a week's time, the city is also putting more vaccine clinics at schools themselves. It's a great way to get first doses to youth 12 and up.
We hosted a clinic at a school in the Jane and Finch neighborhood. 79 kids got vaccinated. 45 of them, 59%, got their first shot.
Team Toronto is focusing efforts on western and northwest neighborhoods with lower vaccine uptake.
The top 5 neighborhoods with the highest number of kids who are eligible but haven't yet been vaccinated are Mount Olive, Silverstone, Jamestown, Engle Mount Lawrence, Woburn, Downsview, Roding, CFB, and Glenfield, Jane Heights.
Tory encourages property managers, employers, and religious organizations to reach out to Toronto Public Health to request their very own vaccine clinic, especially as people return to the office and the classroom.
The most effective thing we can do in support of the school year is to get vaccinated.
For young Omar, he's happy to be back in Canada and en route to being fully vaccinated.
Keep vaccinated, you can kind of have a bit more freedom.
Currently, 83% of Torontonians have their first dose and 76.6% have both doses. Jessica Ng, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Nick, another nice day outside, similar to yesterday, and quite the contrast from last week.
Yeah, Cal, last week we were talking about heat warnings. We were talking about severe weather warnings with thunderstorms that passed through southern Ontario both Saturday and Sunday. And now we're just dealing with sunshine and some pretty dry weather as well. Temperatures basically right on seasonal. Today we've hit 27 degrees in the GTA. That's a couple points above seasonal, but more or less in the ballpark there. And not much to speak of in terms of the humidex either. The humidex today around 28, 29 across the Golden Horseshoe. Now, we've had some good sunshine through the day today. Generally speaking, that carries through. We are looking at the remnants of Ida that are going to pass to the south of us, but save for a little bit of cloud cover mid-afternoon or mid-morning. Generally speaking, it's going to be sunny as we head through the rest of the week, certainly toward the latter part of the week. Here's a look at the forecast for the next 24. 15 degrees tonight, light winds 25 tomorrow, humidex only of 27, and the sunshine continues. Your full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Nick. Toronto police gave an update today on their investigation into the weekend shooting that shut down Yorkdale Mall, saying they have made 3 arrests.
After further investigation and further review, it was determined that there was 2 groups that had exchanged rounds and exchanged shots between them.
Police were called to the shopping center around 3:30 Sunday after receiving several calls about multiple shots fired. With the help of mall security, officers arrested a suspect after they tried to run onto a Highway 401 on-ramp. A gun was also recovered. Investigators charged 2 more people on Monday in connection to the shooting. All 3 suspects are in their 20s and from Toronto. Well, Canada announced today a deal to accept 5,000 Afghan refugees already evacuated by the U.S. But Canada's immigration minister says the government is now aware of roughly 1,200 Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and family members who remain in Afghanistan. Our Chris Glover shares one Toronto man's story of heartache for his family and friends still trapped in the country.
For nights I was awake, and I had to even take leave from my office because I was not sleeping the whole night, and I was in constant contact with my friends and my families there.
When he can't connect with loved ones hiding out in Kabul, that's when he's the most afraid.
Sorry, the phone you dialed is not answered for the moment.
26-year-old Ahmed came to Toronto from Afghanistan about 5 years ago. We're only using the permanent resident's first name to protect his family in Afghanistan who worked with the U.S. and now fear deadly reprisal from the Taliban.
They're just counting their time, waiting like each and every hour to be found.
Things look as bleak as they looked before. They certainly look more bleak now. Yeah. What kind of heartache does that leave you in?
It's horrible. It's sad. It's very sad.
At least 5 of his loved ones in Kabul are Canadian citizens, but still they can't get out. Canada has already committed to resettle 20,000 Afghan refugees. Multiple local charities and nonprofits are helping, like News Circles, providing Afghan refugees with clothing.
If you have clothing, it lifts you up. It helps you with your self-esteem. It gives you a beginning.
They've supported 300 refugees from this crisis and hope to help up to 900.
It's always rewarding because, first of all, I'm also an immigrant. I came here so many years ago, so I can relate in somehow coming here with just nothing and maybe a suitcase.
Hundreds of Afghans are planning to come to Canada, have safely made their way to third countries.
Today, Canada announced a deal to accept 5,000 Afghan refugees already evacuated by the U.S. Given the scope of this and how many people are desperate to flee, what do you think of that commitment from Canada?
They are only the chosen ones that among these 120,000 people that got out last few weeks. What about the other thousands of people who are eligible and they're in the country?
That leaves people like his family trapped and under threat. He wants countries like Canada to accept more refugees and loosen restrictions around who can come here. He and a group of Afghans are hoping to sponsor 20 families, and they're fundraising to make it happen.
But we are ready to save lives because we know that those lives are in danger.
Until his loved ones do escape.
وضعیت گفتم از چی قرار است در کابل.
Every time he's able to connect is an overwhelming relief. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Starting tonight, drivers will lose access to a busy ramp on the eastern end of the Gardiner Expressway, the Logan Avenue ramp. The city is beginning work on a project to realign the aging highway and redevelop roadways in the area. As our Natalie Collada reports, it's expected to take years to complete.
From this to this, eventually.
We're going to improve Toronto's climate resiliency. We're going to support and protect that area of Toronto against flooding, right? We're going to, we're going to make it more livable. It's going to provide space for things like bike lanes and a linear park and a new walking trail, in addition to vehicles.
But to get there will take years and lots of closure. Starting tonight on weekends through to October, Lakeshore Boulevard East will be closed from Cherry Street to Carlaw Avenue. Westbound Gardiner can be accessed from Jarvis Street, and the Dawn Roadway will be closed between DVP and Commissioner Street. Then,
sometime, late October, November, that's when Lakeshore will actually be reduced in the number of lanes.
the Lakeshore East project is a key part of Toronto's Don River flood mitigation plan and also makes way for more development in the Portlands area. The work is expected to continue until 2024. Drivers in the area today are already bracing for the inevitable traffic.
I know that a lot of people is going to be suffering it.
So this means if you're coming east from the Gardiner, you would have to take Jarvis and then navigate city streets to get anywhere east.
Or a helicopter. It's kind of a bummer. That's the only way into the neighborhood.
Others are trying to stay positive.
Definitely it's going to disrupt because I commute every day through that road, but it's all for better, so.
It's going to be a bother for a lot of people, but I think also there's going to be workarounds and it's going to be good when it's done. So I think everybody should just look forward.
The Logan Avenue ramp permanently closes at 9 tonight. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, mainly clear with cloudy periods overnight. Currently, it's 20 degrees in downtown Toronto. Let's go back to Nick now with a look at your extended forecast. And Nick, the sun was out today, comfortable temperatures, and we can expect more of the same the next few days.
And more sunshine to continue for the rest of the week, Kelda. We have, of course, been tracking the track of Ida, or at least the remnants of Ida, and it is staying to the south of the GTA. There's a look at what it looks like there on the forecast map. As we push forward, you'll notice that high pressure keeps this thing generally to the south of us. Still a little bit of spillover cloud cover up toward the Golden Horseshoe. We may see a few spots of showers down around the St. Catharines, Niagara area, but generally speaking, stays dry. All of the rainfall down toward the south. Now, mind you, if you've got travel plans to areas in Pennsylvania, out toward New England, there will be some pretty heavy rainfall there with this system. But for us, pretty calm weather. And certainly by tomorrow evening, it clears out and the sunshine continues through Thursday and Friday as well. Much the same as what we're seeing today. Forecast for tonight down in southwestern Ontario, temperatures around 15, 16 degrees. Tomorrow, highs to 26 degrees. This is pretty much right on seasonal and not much to speak of in terms of humidity. For the Golden Horseshoe, it's similar as we move through the overnight period, 15 degrees for tonight. Partly cloudy skies. Again, I'd mentioned that we may see a few spotty showers down around the St. Catharines area. I've left them out of the forecast there, but don't be surprised if we see some light showers either through tonight or through sort of the early part of tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, though, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud to mostly sunny skies. It actually gets sunnier as you head a little bit further away from the lake. Highs to about 24, 25 degrees across the GTA and winds out of the northeast just on the back side of the system as it passes to the south of us. And there's a look at the next 5 days. I mean, basically a carbon copy of the previous day, right through till Saturday. Now, looking forward to the long weekend. Saturday looks pretty good. Sunday, Monday, we may see some light showers, but no real heavy rainfall events on the horizon, including, of course, the long weekend. Calda.
Thanks, Nick. Healthcare heroes over these past few months, Vaccine Hunters Canada on Twitter have sent their final tweet, thanking all their volunteers.
Hey Canada, when we first met in March 2021, we didn't realize how far this would go.
The group has wrapped up day-to-day social media operations, focusing ahead on a consolidated website. The account was created in March and at its peak reached more than 400,000 followers. It's not known exactly how many people received a shot using help from the group, but it is estimated at more than